All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling a book that is an absolute game changer for self-improvement, Atomic Habits by James Clear. We're going to break down the biggest ideas into a simple, actionable system you can start using, like right now. You ready? Let's do this.
Okay, I'm just going to put this number up here. That's it. 37x, 37 times. I know what you're thinking. What on earth is that about? It seems huge, right? But trust me, this single number, it's the key to everything in Atomic Habits.
And here's the answer. This is what James Clear is talking about. It's the incredible, almost magical power of compounding. See, he's not asking you to reinvent yourself overnight. No way. He's just talking about getting 1% better every single day. It sounds like nothing, right? But do that for a year, and the result is just mind-blowing. That's the power of an atomic habit.
So now that we get the power of these tiny changes, we've got to talk about the foundation. And this is a huge mindset shift. It's not about what you want to achieve. It's about who you want to become. Just feel the difference here. It's so powerful. On one side, you have a goal. I want to run a marathon. That's an event. It's temporary. But on the other side, I am a runner. That's an identity. It's who you are. Think about it. Someone who is a runner doesn't really have to drag themselves out the door for a run. It's just what they do. And here's a great way to think about it. Every single thing you do is like casting a vote for the kind of person you want to be. You go for that run, that's a vote for I'm a runner. You pick up a book, that's a vote for I'm a reader. Your habits are literally building your identity vote by vote. So how do we start casting those votes consistently? Well, this is the system, the how-to part of the book, and it's beautifully simple. It's a 4-step framework that basically maps onto how every single habit works, right? Cue, craving, response, and reward. These 4 laws are the levers we get to pull to build good habits and break bad ones. So let's break them down one by one. First up, we've got make it obvious. The big idea here is that your environment is often way more powerful than your willpower. We are just creatures of context. The little cues all around us are what trigger our habits, and a lot of the time, we don't even notice it's happening. So how do we make the cue for a good habit super obvious? We use something called an implementation intention. Now, that sounds all technical and fancy, but really, it just means you're giving your habit a specific time and a specific place to live in the real world. You stop hoping you'll do it, and you start planning for it. And here's the dead simple formula you can use. Right now, I will behavior at time in location. So instead of I'll try to meditate, it becomes I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. in my living room. See how clear that is? There's no guesswork. The cue to start becomes totally obvious. Okay, law number 2, make it attractive. You know, our habits are really driven by this dopamine feedback loop in our brains. The more attractive and appealing an action is, the more likely we are to actually do it. So we've got to find a way to make our good habits, well, irresistible. And one of the most brilliant ways to do this is a strategy called temptation bundling. It's such a great idea. You just link something you want to do with something you need to do. You get to have that little treat or indulgence, but only while you're doing the habit you're trying to build. Here's a perfect example. You're dying to watch the next episode of that new show, right? Awesome. But here's the rule. You only get to watch it while you're on the treadmill. All of a sudden, you're not dreading your workout anymore. You might even be looking forward to it because it's tied to something you already love. All right, on to law number 3. Make it easy. This one is all about what he calls the law of least effort. It's just human nature, right? We are wired to take the path of least resistance. So the more friction, the more steps between you and a habit, the less likely you are to actually do it. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The age-old question. We all know what we should be doing, but actually getting up and starting, man, that's the hardest part. So how do we beat that inertia? The answer is so simple, it's almost silly. The 2-minute rule. The point isn't to master the entire habit on day 1. Nope, the goal is just to start. So you take whatever habit you want to build and you shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Look at this. The goal, read every night, can feel like a huge commitment. But what about the goal, open the book? Come on, anybody can do that. And the magic here is that once you've started, once you've opened the book, momentum often just takes over. The real secret is mastering the art of just showing up. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important law of all. Make it satisfying. For a habit to really stick, we need to feel some sense of success. Our brains are hardwired to repeat behaviors that give us an immediate reward.
And this is why this law is so critical. The first 3 laws, making it obvious, attractive, and easy, they help you do the habit once. But making it satisfying, that's what makes you come back and do it again tomorrow and the next day. That immediate reward is what tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do that again.
Probably the easiest way to do this is with a habit tracker. Every time you do your habit, you get to put a big X on a calendar. That simple act, that's your reward. It's a little hit of satisfaction, visual proof that you're making progress. And pretty soon, your only goal becomes, don't break the chain.
So let's bring this all home. How does this all connect and help you actually build that new identity we talked about? Okay, here's your toolkit for making real change. First, remember the power of those tiny 1% daily improvements. Second, focus on building your identity, who you want to be, not just chasing goals. And then use the 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying as your blueprint for designing your habits. Because you gotta remember, it's those tiny atomic habits that really lead to remarkable results. And that leaves us with one last, really important question. Forget about overhauling your entire life tomorrow. Let's just talk about today, right now. What is the one tiny 1% change you can make to cast a vote for the person you want to become?